Hey everyone, today we're going to do some Fusion 360 work to design an acrylic case for this 8x8 RGB matrix panel. Let's get to it. I've got a new session of Fusion 360 open. The first thing you always want to do is click save, just to save your project. I've got a project folder called Nightlight, so I'm going to call this Nightlight Case. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create the outside shape. Now I know that the panel itself is 65.5 by 65.5, so I need a case that'll fit that inside it, that will also give me room to put screw holes and stuff like that. So probably need about, I don't know, 5 or 6 mil around it, so maybe we'll just start with 80 by 80. So I'm just going to create a rectangle, 80 by 80. I'm anchoring it to the corner. That's what that red dot there means. You can see the dimensions on there is 80 by 80. This is not going to be a tutorial on how to use Fusion 360, by the way. I'm just going to build this, but I will highlight things as I'm going, if it makes sense. So I need to put a square inside that. We don't want to use a rectangle like I just did. We want to do with a center rectangle. So we need to work out the center. One thing you can do in Fusion is if you go and find some anchors and drag from them, it remembers the last anchors that you grabbed. As you just saw there, now I've got the center. So now I can just say I need it to be 65.5 by 65.5. It's all millimeters, of course. And hit enter, and now I've got the area inside. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of these guides. I don't want them in there. So now I need to add screw holes, and I want them to be what I'm going to do first, I'm going to fillet the outside edges. So I want this to be, yeah, 5 looks good. Unfortunately I can't use the F shortcut because that's for filleting a 3D item, a body, not when in sketch mode. So a lot of the sketch mode tools don't actually have shortcuts, whoops, which is really annoying. And one more. Fillet to be 5 because I want it to have a nice round edge. I don't want it to be a square edge. My plan right now is to laser cut all of these shapes, so yeah, I just don't want a hard edge on it. Okay, I need to put screw holes in, and what we can actually do is utilize these control points that have been put in for the corners for the fillets, because they look like pretty good position. So I'm going to do C. I'm going to stick one of these in, and I believe from memory they're 2.54 millimeters. That's for the M2.5. I think it's 2.5, but I'll make it 2.54 to give it just a little bit of extra give. Okay, and one more. C for circle. Oops, 2.54. Okay, so I've now got the outside shape and a rectangle in the middle. This sketch here can be used for two parts. It can be used without the rectangle in the middle for the front face, which is going to be in the tinted black acrylic, and then it can be for the next layer in, which is going to be the frame for the panel, and that's going to include this cut area. So what I'm going to do straight away is I'm going to grab it all, I'm going to copy. Now I'll stop the sketch. I'm going to rename this to say inner frame. Now I'm going to go new sketch, turn the other one off, and paste. And I hate how Fusion pastes stuff just kind of arbitrarily anywhere. It's really annoying. And you can't just easily move the anchor, the positional thing around. Yeah, this is really annoying. I mean, there must be a way of doing this in Fusion, I just don't know how. Maybe there's a different shortcut that I don't know about. Okay, so I've got the inner frame which has the rectangle. I actually don't want this rectangle in this one. This is going to be the front panel. So delete that back out. Stop the sketch, and now I'll rename this front panel. Oh, there's no G in front. Okay, so now we've got two components. We've got the front panel and we've got the inner frame. So now I need to make the back sections that's going to hold the D1 Mini in it. And I'd also like to somehow run a separate power cable in. So there's 64 LEDs on this panel, 8x8, and of course because they're NeoPixel style addressable LEDs, then technically they could go up to 60 milliamps each. And 60 milliamps by 64 is what? Let's find out what that is, shall we? 60 milliamps times 64 is 3.8 amps that could potentially go to, which is a lot of amps, and there's no way this D1 Mini could drive that. So I need to have a place to hold the D1 Mini at the back. Luckily I've already solved something like that before with the Neo 77 pixel display, but I also need to have a place to put the plug, and the plug is a 10mm wide hexagonal kind of shape. So I'm thinking what I might do is actually, instead of doing the back in layers of acrylic like I did with the 7-segment display, I might actually do it in 3D with the 3D printer, or at least do a middle section with the 3D printer so I can get it exact specifications. That's what I'm thinking. So it's going to start off with this shape of the front panel. So I want to go in here, I'm going to edit this because I want this as a starting point. I'm going to copy it. Stop sketch, create a new sketch, and of course it's going to stick it. Oh, that time it's stuck in the right spot. Surprise, surprise. Okay, it's going to have holes in it. I'm still going to use acrylic probably at the back. I'm not even sure if I 3D print this, that the shape and the curves and everything is going to line up nicely with the acrylic, because the laser cutter is very accurate with its cutting and the 3D printer is very inaccurate with its printing. But I'll start with this. So I'm going to need a place to put the D1 Mini. And I already have a layout for that I'm going to go grab from the 7-segment display and paste it in. So let's go do that now. First thing, before I do that, I just want to save. Okay, so I've got to remember where it was. It's this one here. Okay. This display's got a lot of different working pieces in it. It's this D1 Mini holder that we want. That's the shape there. So I want to edit the sketch. Luckily you can copy and paste between different projects. I'm going to go back to the nightlight, create a new sketch again, and put it in that for now. Okay, so if I grab it all, it's going to be the wrong size. Okay, this will be moved over. Looks pretty good. Okay, it's too tall. Okay, got a lot of different anchors and constraints on here. Turn that back on again. So I want this to basically be the shape of the outside frame. That. I want that. I mean, this is approximate right now. I'm going to have to do measurements on it to make sure that it's correct. And I need to stick holes in. So use the holes from the other one. So 2.54 as a guide. So by using a different sketch in the background, like that, if I go and place like a hole, go 2.54 and paste it, it actually anchors it to the point behind. So you can actually anchor things to layers behind it. If I would have turned that off and just done it, it wouldn't have actually anchored it to it, but that's fine. I don't mind if it's anchored right now. So what I need to do is make sure that the distances between here and here are correct. That should be 80. So if I hit I can do a measurement between here and here, and it shows me that the distance is 80.006 millimeters. Is that close enough? I don't know. Let's actually try this way as well. Make sure this height is the same. It won't show me full length. That one's 80 exactly. So that's where the D1 Mini sits, which is great. I don't know exactly where this is going to line up here. So what I'm going to do is just make a really big area for the wires, because we had issues with the wires space last time, if you would have seen the panel last time. Also, I don't need that. Yeah, if you would have seen my video last time, I think it was a soldering Saturday, I was putting the panel together, I just couldn't get the wires in. It was really tight for the canal that I made. So I'm going to also just move that over, get it away from that hole, make sure we've got more space. I'm going to lift this higher, just to make sure there's more space there. Yeah, I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of space for my cabling. The key is that this shape just here needs to be the same, because that's where the D1 Mini lodges into. I need that to be solid, but where the cable comes through is fine. So the next thing, yeah, so this needs to be 6mm in thickness to hold the D1 Mini. And then I need the back panel. Yeah, it's going to be hard to work out without printing it, trying it, printing it, trying it. not quite sure how I'm going to get the power cable in and where I'm going to put the power cable. I think for the moment I'm just going to build all of this with acrylic, laser acrylic, and not actually use a 3D printer to try to wedge everything in and use external power. For the development side of this project, I can definitely just do it off the D1 Mini as long as I'm careful with power draw. So I'm going to leave this as it is right now. I'm going to stop the sketch. So I'm going to call this D1 Mini holder. Okay, I'm just going to go back in, copy it all, and create a new sketch. Because I need the back now. Paste, oh, see? And look at that, it hasn't even put it the right way around. How does it even do that? That is so annoying. What if I just 180 degrees? Should be snapping it anyway, but it's not. That is so annoying. Anyway, it's close enough for now, because I don't need the other layers on. So for the back panel, I need to keep an opening to make sure there's enough room for the USB to come through, but I don't need the rest of these. Don't need these. I can go that. Definitely don't need that. Or that. Actually don't need any of those. Don't need those. That. What I do need to do is to close all this up. I don't need that. Don't need that. Create a line here, which closes up our shape again. I need to make sure that this here is about between 7 and 8 millimeters. So if I go put a distance constraint on it, it's currently 5, make it 8. And the other thing I'll do while I'm here is just give it some nice bit of curve, I think. It's on the inside. So this is for the back panel. Okay, so let me just save this and call it back panel. Okay, that sketch here we don't need. Delete that. It's just got the front plate in it. So we have a back panel, the D1 Mini holder, got our front panel, and then we've got the inner frame. Okay, so they're all the pieces we need. It's going to give us all our different shapes. So the next step is to export all of these and to put them all inside Lightburn, which is my laser cutter software, and then cut all the pieces out. So let's start doing that. First thing you want to do is save as a DXF. So this is going to be inner frame. This one is going to be front. This one is going to be D1 Mini holder. And this one is going to be the back. Okay, so they're all different pieces. So let's go into Lightburn and bring them in and lay them all out. This is Lightburn. This is my laser cutting software. So I've got a new empty document. This is the actual cutting size of my laser cutter. It's a A4. So the first thing I want to do is make 2 different files, because one file is going to include the black tinted acrylic and the other file is going to be for just normal black. I'm not going to use the tinted acrylic for all the different layers because it's much more expensive acrylic and I don't want to waste it. The only thing that's going to be on the tinted acrylic one is going to be this cutout here. So I'm just going to save that. This is going to be called Night Light Black Tint 3mm. So it's going to be a 3mm thick acrylic. Okay, that's one. And I'm going to go new, start a new sheet, and then everything else is going to be on the other layers. So I need the back, the mini, and the inner frame. I'm just going to lay them all out now. So that's the, doesn't really matter which angle they're on. I'm just going to select them all and just align them vertically. So I need 2 of these. I need it to be, these again are going to be 3mm black, but the actual D1 Mini housing area is 6mm. So I need to duplicate that. Doesn't matter where it is. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I've got 2 inner bits to hold the D1 Mini, the back plate, and the frame. So that's it. So we'll save that. And we'll call that Nightlight Black 3mm. They are different files. So I'm going to go cut these and then bring them back and put the D1 Mini together. Back soon. Okay, we're back from the laser cutting. There's a few changes I had to make, so I had to actually cut this a few times. The first thing you'll notice is the shape here of the holder for the D1 Mini is slightly different. I did have the cables running this way off the D1 Mini before. I had to move it because the actual panel itself, the in point is here. When you turn it around, that's 0, 0, and the LEDs go across this way, even though that's upside down, which is fantastic, which meant I would have had the USB facing the bottom. So that's the first thing. As you can see, I've got my D1 Mini soldered in. I'm not going to bore you with me soldering this together. I made the cables a bit long, but that's okay. The other thing I changed was, as you would have seen in Lightburn before, I had it arrayed with black, 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 and then a black down the bottom. But I had a sheet of black that had the bottom section gone, but I had enough room for 3 items on the top. So I did those 3 on the top. And I had a scrap of some clear that was lying around. So I did the back section just from the clear, just so I didn't have to waste a whole new sheet of acrylic. Especially considering this is temporary. I just want something for now to put everything together with, so I can play with the programming on this board. So let's put it all together. This is obviously the tinted front, as you can see through it. It's pretty cool. I'm quite dusty in my office. There's lots of flecks of dust everywhere. That when you cut them and then pull the paper off, it attracts so much dust, like the amount of static that it produces. So let's start with, let's get some of these screws in. I do already have some code on the panel, so we'll be able to see it working as soon as I put it together. Okay, let's get the frame in. Okay, sits nicely just in there. I might get this wrong, let's find out. Right, that's right, I remember, yeah, it would have been the wrong way around. So this is not ideal, this is temporary. This is just going to mean that the D1 Mini is going to sit at the top and not at the bottom. And it probably won't be fantastic either. Okay, so that's in place, which is great. Let's put the back piece on to hold it still. Okay, already I can see there's a problem. I'm not going to lift it up to show you just yet, but I haven't cut this back far enough, this section here, so it's clipping the end of the USB. It needs to come back another mil or 2, so there's going to be a slight little gap here. But that's okay for now. Let's just get this in. I mentioned before in one of my previous videos, I really enjoy the product design phase, like, you know, designing all the pieces that go together, but I find it really hard. It's quite challenging. It's hard to visualize and conceptualize inside Fusion 360, especially with a laser cutter, because I'm not actually building this in 3D. So I don't end up with any bodies and shapes and components inside Fusion 360 to look at. I could make a whole bunch of bodies that are all like, you know, 3mm laser cut pieces. But yeah, I didn't. Okay, so that is the panel here. So it's gonna, yeah, I don't know which way the top's gonna be. We'll find out. That's all of it put together. The clear acrylic I used in the back is actually only 2mm acrylic, not 3. And that's just because that's what I had lying around. So there's a bit of extra ends on the bolts. So you can see here there's a bit of a gap in here. It's the USB point is actually pushing this up. So it's got a bit of a gap there. But for now this will work fine. So I've got a cable here, which should just yeah, it's not great balancing now because of the USB. That's actually upside down, I believe. Will it go anywhere? There you go. So what this does, the code right now, I'm not going to go through the code, it's really simple. The code just goes to check to see if it can get online, and if it can get online, and then it starts every 2 seconds, flipping between 2 different images. And I'm having a bit of a play, like you'll notice that all the purple's solid, but I'm trying to get it to display a circle nicely, and it's only 8 by 8, so there's not a lot of density there. So I'm playing around with dithering the outside edges, getting them duller, softer as they go around to try to make it more of a soft circle. But there it is. That's the display we just put together. It's pretty straightforward. It's just like my Neo 7 segment display in terms of the way it holds the D1 Mini at the back. But it's perfect for what I need now for development. At least I don't have to have a bare board just sitting there with wires hanging around. It's quite sturdy. In a future video, I will do some more with this. I'm not sure what it's going to be or when it's going to be yet. In the meantime, thumbs up if you like the video. Please subscribe to the channel and click the little bell to be notified when I have new videos coming out. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter, and on Facebook. Links are at the bottom in the description. Until next time, catch you later.